Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the 3 different drive modes on the Jeep Wrangler 4xe. This would hold true for the Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe as well, and we're also going to discuss when you should use the Regen mode and some of the different reasons maybe you should or shouldn't use Max Regen. Let's jump in. So you've got 3 drive modes: hybrid, electric, and e-save. Hybrid is where I generally live. Hybrid will let the vehicle decide when it needs to use electric versus gas. Generally speaking, I would just run it in hybrid. If you want to stop the video right here, you can, but we are going to talk about Max Regen in a second. Let's talk about the other drive modes. It should be noted, however, that yes, when in hybrid, generally speaking, it is going to eat up all of the battery before you go into gas mode. The one time I would say maybe don't use hybrid mode is this. Say you get 25 miles worth of range on your vehicle and your commute is 28 miles. So every day you run, say, 2 or 3 miles in gas. At that point, I would try and split it up, and that's going to keep you out of fuel oil refresh mode. If you don't know what that is, check our other video on fuel oil refresh mode. Generally speaking, if your commute is over the amount of miles that is used to burn up all of your remaining battery power, and you use enough gas or you use enough internal combustion to actually warm up the engine, let hybrid do its thing. We let hybrids do its thing all the time, and it's been fine for us. Electric mode. This will keep the Jeep running in only electric, assuming certain conditions are met. If you give it full throttle acceleration, it's still going to think you need to get out of harm's way, and it's going to bring that gas internal combustion into the situation. Generally speaking, electric mode will hold it only in electric. For whatever reason you want to run electric mode only, you can do that. I can't really think of a great scenario of where I would want that. Maybe you're off-roading, or maybe you want to be somewhere quiet, and you've saved your electric for a specific area. You could go then hit the electric mode. So at any rate, that's what electric mode does. All right, so e-save. This one is probably the most talked about, probably the most misused in my personal opinion. So there's a few different ways you can use e-save. One is e-save will run gasoline only until you decide you want to run electric or hybrid. So e-save will hold that electric. Let's say you got a full battery, 99%, 100%. It will hold that battery until maybe you want to use that electric off-road. So then you get your off-road destination, you hit electric. You've saved that battery power for a specific part of your trip. The one thing that should be noticed about e-save is if you have 100% battery life and you're holding e-save, it will use about 5% of that electricity before it holds it. So it'll take you down to about 95%, but it will maintain that 95%. The other issue with e-save, let's talk about that. So if I'm on my home screen, I'm gonna go to vehicle. So you're gonna go down to e-save, you have battery save, and you have battery charge. Now this is where I see a lot of people using the battery charge. And let me tell you why I think this is a feature that makes absolutely no sense. So in battery charge mode, so if your selector is on e-save and the menu is selected to battery charge, what's going to happen is you're going to use your internal combustion engine to charge the battery, which then at some point you then are going to use your charged battery to power the vehicle. It makes no sense. You're wasting fuel economy to charge the battery than to use it. There's no free lunch here, right? There's no point. In my opinion, it makes no sense to charge the battery on anything short of regeneration power, which is minimal, we know, we're gonna talk about in a second, or actually plugging it in. Using your internal combustion engine to charge the battery to use it again, it doesn't make any sense to me from a miles per gallon, from an economy standpoint. It makes 0 sense. Now, maybe you want that quiet off-road experience, or you want to be somewhere that you can't get to a charger and you really want to be on electric. Okay, fine, then I guess that makes sense. But remember, it's not efficient. It's going to cost you more fuel to charge it. So in doing that, you're not gaining anything short of maybe saying, I get to use my electric mode and show off to the friends. There's no benefit by using the e-save when it comes to a mile per gallon or a fuel economy standpoint. It's the worst feature. That's the worst way you could drive the 4xe. Keep that in mind. The other thing that should be noticed is when these 4xEs first came out, if you liked to drive in one specific mode, when you turn the car off and back on, it would always default to hybrid. Now it will hold. These are now locking buttons. So if it's an electric and you turn the vehicle off and back on, it will stay there. If yours doesn't do that, you likely have not received all of the updates from your dealership. All right, so let's talk about one other conversation that I feel is not fully understood in 4xE world. The Max Regen button. Guys, this I think is misunderstood. This does not give you more power. This doesn't give you more anything. It's kind of the closest thing you're gonna get to one pedal driving. So when you turn the Max Regen button on, as soon as you let off the throttle, gas pedal, I don't know what we're calling them anymore, the regeneration will kick in. You'll feel the vehicle slow down. You'll watch the gauge go down into the charge position. Keep in mind, but now if you're coming down a hill, coming down a mountain, or somewhere where you're using that brake to actually slow you down and you need it to, makes a ton of sense. If you're just around town, now you don't coast. So the mindset is, well, I'm putting the energy back into my battery. Well, for one, it's really minimal, but now for two, you're also back on the throttle to move forward where you might have just coasted along before, right? So keep that in mind. Like at some point, you're negating the whole thing here, right? The other thing that should be noted, the brake pedal. These are not traditional brakes anymore. That first portion of that brake pedal is actually engaging the motors in a regen status. So when you tap or rest your foot on that brake pedal, you're actually engaging the regen. The Max Regen just does it instantly as soon as you're off the gas. So it does it earlier, but again, if you coasted, you might have gotten further. It's kind of a game, but keep in mind when you touch the brakes in your off Max Regen, it's basically the same thing. So you're not missing out on any regeneration. You're not missing out on putting any of that power back to the vehicle. Just doing it at a different time, or by hitting the brakes, you're in control, not the Jeep. So keep that in mind. Most people think when they hit the brakes, it's all hydraulic brake. It's actually not, and it does start that regeneration process when your foot's on that pedal. Pay attention next time you're on the brakes. Rest your foot on it. You know you're barely into the pedal, and you could tell on a normal car that would probably just activate lights and nothing more. But you'll feel that vehicle slow down on the 4xE. It's actually activating that regenerative system. So let us know, do you use Regen? What's your thought on eSave? Did you understand the drive modes? As always, like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video, and happy Jeeping.